Now let's understand what's happening in this PHP program, shown here in Code Snippet 1. This is a simple example that combines HTML and PHP together to display a message on a web page. The code starts with the HTML structure using the doc type HTML and body tags. Inside the body, you'll notice a special section that begins with PHP and ends with. These are called PHP tags. Everything written between these two tags is treated as PHP code and is executed by the PHP interpreter on the server. Inside these tags, we are using the echo command. The echo command in PHP is used to display output to the browser. In this case, it's printing the message, "Hello, welcome to PHP." So when this script runs, the web page will show that exact message to the user. There's one important rule to remember. Every PHP statement must end with a semicolon. The semicolon acts as a full stop for PHP commands. If you forget to add it and write another statement right after, PHP will throw a syntax error. So, in summary, this code helps you understand three things. First, how PHP is embedded within HTML. Second, how the echo statement is used to output text. And third, how important it is to use a semicolon to avoid syntax errors. When you save this file as index.php and open it in your browser using localhost, it will display, "Hello, welcome to PHP. That's your first working PHP program." Now that we've learned how to write a PHP program, let's move on to understand how to execute or run PHP scripts. Whenever you write a PHP file, you can't just double-click it to run it like a normal program. Instead, you need to execute it through a web server, because PHP is a server-side scripting language. To do this, you must first save your PHP file inside the web server's directory. Depending on your setup, this folder is usually named www or htdocs. For example, if you're using XAMPP, you will find this folder inside the main XAMPP installation directory. Once you've saved your PHP file, make sure it has the correct file extension, either PHP or .html if you've embedded PHP code inside HTML. After saving the file, you need to start the Apache server using the XAMPP control panel. Let's assume you have installed XAMPP with PHP version 8.0.13. When you open XAMPP, it will automatically create a folder named htdocs. That's where you should place all your PHP project files. Now, once the Apache server is running, open your web browser and type localhost in the address bar. Then, enter the path to your PHP file. For example, if your file name is code21php, the URL will look like this, http://localhost code21php. This tells the browser to send a request to your local server, which will then process the PHP code and display the output in your browser window. In this example, if you saved your file in C as XAMPP, then you can run it in the browser by typing http://localhost code21php. So in summary, to execute a PHP script, save the file in the htdocs folder. Start the Apache server from XAMPP. Open the browser and type localhost, followed by your file name. That's how your PHP code runs and displays the output successfully. Now let's look at the output of our PHP program. Here you can see a web browser window displaying the file named code2.1.php running on localhost. This confirms that our local Apache server is working correctly and the PHP code is being executed successfully. In the Browser tab, you can notice the title, Hello Program in PHP. That title comes from the tag we wrote in our HTML section. And just below it, on the main web page, the text, Hello, welcome to PHP, appears. This message is the output produced by the echo statement inside our PHP code. So, what actually happened here is simple. When we opened this file through localhost, the browser sent a request to the Apache server. The Apache server then passed the file to the PHP interpreter, which read the PHP code, executed it, and sent the final output back to the browser in plain HTML. That's why you see only the message, "Hello, welcome to PHP," and not the PHP code itself. This demonstrates that PHP runs on the server side, and the browser only receives the final output, so Figure 2.1 clearly shows the successful execution of our first PHP program, confirming that our setup, code, and server are all working perfectly. Now that we've seen how to run PHP scripts through a web browser using XAMPP, let's learn another method, how to run PHP directly from the command prompt. This method is useful when you want to test small pieces of PHP code quickly, or when you're working on back-end scripts that don't require a web browser or HTML interface. To execute PHP programs from the command prompt, your system needs to know where PHP is installed. That's why we need to add the PHP installation path, for example, CRPHP, to the system's environment variables. This allows Windows to recognize PHP as a command, no matter which folder you are in. Here's how you can do it step by step. Open the control panel on your computer. Click on Advanced System Settings. In the new window, select Environment Variables. Under System Variables, find and select the option named Path. Click Edit, then click New, and type the full installation path of PHP, for example, CAPHP. Once done, click OK to close all the windows. This step makes PHP accessible from anywhere in the command prompt. Now, to verify that PHP is properly added, open your command prompt and type php-vif. Everything is set up correctly. You'll see the PHP version displayed on your screen. This means you can now run PHP scripts directly by navigating to the folder containing your code and typing PHP file name. PHP Figure 2.2, which follows this section, will show how the PHP path is added to the environment variables visually. So, in summary, this process allows you to execute PHP scripts quickly without needing to open a browser or a web server interface. Now, as shown here in Figure 2.2, this image demonstrates how the PHP installation path is added to the environment variable path inside Windows. This step is very important because it allows the operating system to recognize the PHP command globally, and meaning you can execute PHP from the command prompt no matter which folder you're working in. In this window, you can see the System Properties panel open, with the Environment Variables section displayed. Under the System Variables list, there's an option called Path. By selecting this and clicking on Edit, a new dialog box appears on the right side of the image. Inside this box, users can click on New and then type the full installation path of PHP, for example, CRPHP. The path is added, simply click OK to close the window and apply the changes. After that, close all remaining windows by pressing OK again. This process ensures that your PHP installation becomes accessible through the command prompt. To verify that it's working correctly, open the command prompt and type php-ivf. Everything is configured properly. It will display your PHP version, such as PHP 8.0.13. This confirms that PHP has been successfully added to your system environment variables, and you can now run PHP scripts directly from the command line, without needing any web server interface. Now, as you can see in this final note, once the path for PHP has been set correctly in the system's environment variables, you can run PHP from any folder in your computer using the command prompt. That means you don't have to open the specific folder where PHP was installed. For example, CRPHP, every time you want to execute a PHP script. Instead, you can simply open the command prompt anywhere, even from your desktop or project directory, and type PHP file name PIT. System will automatically recognize the php.exe command because the installation path is now stored globally in your environment variables. This makes working with PHP much faster and more flexible, especially when developing or testing multiple projects located in different folders. So, in summary, once the path is configured, PHP becomes accessible system-wide, and you can execute PHP commands from any location in the command prompt.